Alright, a couple quick things I wanted to go over in this video. Mainly going to cover with Mags and Adrian. So I think Mags, we're going to come up on a pretty good side shot of what I'm going to talk about with you. And that has to do with like your top hand kind of pushing forward as you're applying pressure into your stroke. And then we can kind of look at like the paddle angle differences that end up happening because of that. So right now we're coming up on it, and you can see, right, paddle angles all look pretty consistent across here. As we continue into the stroke here, oops. So right at this moment, so your top hand kind of is, well, if we take a look at where it starts, sorry, I know the video cuts into a zoomed in position, so taking a look at where your top hand starts in relation to your head, and as you continue into the stroke, that top hand kind of pushes away from your head. And then what happens is as you go into these different positions through that pool, right, the bottom portion is almost kind of matched up with where Jessica's is, but in terms of like which paddle angle is better for a pool, you want to try to make sure that your top hand is always pushing down in the direction of the paddle and not forward at any point. So right now you are putting downward pressure, but it's also pushing forward as well. So then what ends up happening is, like, from this point and on, like, your paddle is already negative compared to like Jessica's, Amy's, Laura's, Michael's here. And then as you continue, right, so your paddle has been in that negative position for a little bit longer than most other paddles. Towards the end, once we're going into the exit, everyone kind of matches up again. But through that pool phase, that's where it kind of really diverges a bit. Not a huge like blending issue. Mostly in my opinion, I think like where I think your paddle angles could be a little bit better, so that the power that you're putting into your pool is gonna work a little bit better for you throughout. So like even if we compare through all the way to the back end here, right, even so I'm gonna point out, like, even with red back here, right, the paddle angle is just a little bit more negative going through that region. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to Adrian. I think I noted in the comments that there was some slow catch timing issues. So I think you can even see it starting here. So well, two things are happening. There are occasionally where Adrian, you're a little bit slow on your catch, but then there's also times where Lawrence, I did note in the comments for a later video that I did see this more often than not, that you would start your catch a little bit earlier than the person in front of you. So like this particular example, I think Adrian, you're about in time with Katie up here, which is fine. And then we have the three guys in the middle kind of following Lawrence, catching in a little bit earlier than the front there. Okay, but there are times as we're gonna continue through this where Adrian, I think your catch still ends up being even a little bit slower than the front of the boat as well. So like even on this one right here, this particular stroke, right, if we look at Katie up here, she's already her lower hand's already down at the gunnel, right? And Adrian, you're still kind of in this, almost in the setup position over here. I don't think it's consistently off, but I definitely noticed it in this particular video being more off than on. Okay. I'm trying to pinpoint exactly why that might be, aside from just visually not being exactly on point. I don't know if there's any other reason besides just trying to focus a little bit more on that. Yeah, so I guess maybe just decrease your like hang time in the front by a hair. All right.